Hello and welcome. Today's video, I'm gonna actually talk about how to configure virtual machines or set in virtual lab environment using a Microsoft Windows Server 2019 and Windows 10 client, preparing them for Active Directory, courses later on. So I'm going to show you how to actually activate the Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V on Windows 10. And the Hyper-V basically is actually you could enable it on. Let's go to search menu. You could enable it on Windows 10 Professional, Windows 10 Enterprise, Windows 10 Ultimate, and you cannot actually do it on Windows. You cannot actually activate it or enable it on Windows Home Premium. What you can do actually, you can run a script as I'm going to show you, and I'm going to include it in the right under the video, on YouTube. How to actually enable Hyper-V on Windows Home if you are running Windows Home. So let's get started. So basically, I'm going to show you first how to enable Hyper-V. So basically, you go to type the Hyper-V. If you cannot actually see the Hyper-V here, you could actually go to Control Panel. So Control Panel in here. Let's Control. Well, let's use this page here. So it's Control Panel, and after launching the Control Panel, you could go to under Programs, and then Programs and Features, and look for turn Windows features on or off. And then this window will pop up right here, as you can see. And then, let me minimize my screen right here, like this. So this window will pop up, as you can see right here, and then make sure you select the Hyper-V, Hyper-V Management Tools, and Hyper-V Platform in order to enable the Hyper-V, and then hit OK. That's it. If you are running Windows 10 Professional Edition, Enterprise, or Ultimate. If you are actually running Windows Home Premium, then I'm going to actually publish the script that you need to run as an admin right down the YouTube video. Regarding the Hyper-V, when you enable it, then you could just go and type Hyper-V, in search bar, and Hyper-V Manager, as you can see, right click, and then this window will pop up. This is the Hyper-V Manager, as you can see. And then if you want to actually create a new virtual machine using the Hyper-V, you can actually do so. Let me, looks good now. So you could actually go right here. You could go right here, and then, or you could go right here. So actually new, and then virtual machine. Then regarding the virtual machines, I'm going to copy the link where you can actually download the Windows Server 2019 as well as Windows 10 versions from Microsoft. Those are evaluation versions that you can use for 180 days, which are more than enough. So I'm going to actually, before let me show you where actually you can download those versions. I have a, so you can visit this link right here. I'm going to visit the link. So open the hyperlink in a new tab. So or you just copy paste the link into the Word document or whatever. Open hyperlink, and the window must pop up shortly. And this is actually the page that you will actually visit in order to to download the Windows Server 2019, as you can see, Windows Server 2019, and then make sure you select an ISO file, and then hit continue, and then you type your first name, last name, company name. Okay, those are not, they didn't need really to match. You just type something. Okay, company size, you choose any company. You could select none for the company, and then continue. Okay, to the download. And then it will ask you for what version you want to install, is 64-bit or 32. Then choose 64-bit and make sure it's an English version or whatever, okay, version you are trying to download. Okay, depends on you. Okay. Regarding the Windows 10 as well, you could go and visit the link also to download Windows 10. It's right here. I'm going to actually include those links to Windows Server and also Windows 10 if I go and install Windows 10, because we need them both for actually creating labs for Active Directory. So yeah, so I'm gonna actually go to show the page where you can actually download the Windows 10 Enterprise ISO file. Okay, so as you can see, here is Windows 10 Enterprise. You select an ISO Enterprise and then continue, and then you need to fill up this stuff right here. I mean, your name, your company, and stuff. Okay, and then continue to, as you can see, I need to fill up everything in order to continue, and then select 64-bit operating system and English version, and move on, or whatever version that suits you. Okay, so enough talking about the Windows 10. I have downloaded them both, so let me go back to my Hyper-V manager, and then I'm gonna actually create a new virtual machine. So new virtual machine, and then I'm gonna hit next, and then the name of the virtual machine. You could name it, for example, let's say Windows, Server 2019. Okay, something like that, and let's say next. You could choose generation. Generation basically 1 or 2. I'm going to go with generation 2. It uses the UFI extended firmware, or unified extended firmware interface instead of the BIOS, the old traditional BIOS. Okay, and 64-bit operating systems, and then next. I'm going to use, for example, I'm going to use 2 gig, okay, 2048, okay, 2 gig, that's enough for the server, and 1 gig, it's enough for Windows 10. Depends on the resources that you have regarding the RAM, how much RAM you have. For example, if you have a computer or laptop that is with 16 gig, for example, you might go with 4 gig for the server and 2 gig for Windows 10 for better performance. But 2 gig for the server and 1 gig for Windows 10, that will be more than enough. Okay, I'm going to hit next. And then notice that we need to choose the network. I'm going to go just with the default switch right now. The default switch, basically, it uses NAT to allow the server to communicate with the internet. Okay, so you could actually download and install update software and so on and so forth. And I'm gonna actually use next. Okay, as you can see, the name of the virtual hard disk. I'm going to create new hard disk. I'm going to go with 30. This is just demonstration purposes. 60 will be more than enough, because we need the server probably to divide the hard disk and create volumes and so on and so forth in Active Directory course. So that's why we're going to use a 60, and then I'm going to actually move on by hitting the next. Install operating system later. I could do that, or I can install the operating system from a bootable image file, and then I'm going to actually browse to my image file or ISO image that I have downloaded. Actually, this is the server evaluation ISO that I downloaded the ticket from Microsoft by visiting the page that I showed you earlier. and then I'm going to say open right there, and then next, and then I'm going to actually finish. So that's regarding the configuration of a new Windows server virtual machine using Hyper-V. And then I wanted to go to, now, let's go to Hyper-V Manager, Switch Manager, as you can see. So we have a default, let's say we have default, and let's say we don't have this one here, okay? I'm gonna say remove, okay? And then I'm gonna actually add new virtual network switch, okay? So we have external, internal, and the private, okay? I wanna elaborate a little bit on this. So basically external, which is adding external interface that will actually take me to the internet using a physical network. For example, if I'm using, for example, a wireless card that's actually using to connect to the internet, I'm gonna select this external interface. The external interface will use that network card, so you could actually, the server would connect to the internet. Internal uses a NAT, like the default switch, which uses NAT, okay, or network address translation to access the internet, and that's more appropriate at least for the through my experience using Hyper-V. And then the private. So I'm going to select private and then create a virtual switch. I'm going to actually name it private. Okay, name it private. And what the private interface basically does, it connects actually the server to the client in a private network, because the server we're going to use, let me demonstrate this, okay? Let me elaborate on this using, okay, my pen. So basically I'm going to draw something in here. So for example, let's say we have a Windows client right here, okay? This is my client. My client is connected to the server. So this is the server here, okay, with S. This is the client with C, and then the server is using the okay, the cloud. This is the internet, okay, INT for the internet. So basically, this one is the default switch, okay, default, okay, switch. Sorry for writing. Yeah. This is using default switch, and then this one is using a private, okay? So we need to configure private interface on the server here, okay, with an IP. For example, we can use 192.100.0/24, okay, and assign static IP to the server, and the server then will use DHCP, DHCP or DHCP, okay, to allocate those private IPv4 addresses to clients on the private interface. Okay, so I'm going to delete this gibberish from my screen, and then let's actually do that. So yeah, let me clear this gibberish from here, and then let's move on and create the private, okay, virtual switch. So I name it the private, as you can see. I mean, you could take a note and make sure a private network is selected, and then we could actually hit OK, apply or OK. And then we have two interfaces. One is default, which uses NAT. The IP is automatically assigned on the interface of the server, and the private interface actually it's used to connect to the client. So after a couple of seconds, we can actually error applying virtual switch properties changes, close probably because I didn't delete this one. I'm gonna say OK, close. Let's close basically, and then I'm gonna actually, as you can see, the server is off. Okay, the server they created. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and then go to settings. Right click, go to settings, and then in settings we have the default switch. Okay, it's already pre-configured and assigned to the server. So yeah, and yeah, I don't know, for some reason I cannot add the private interface. Probably I can do it now. So let's go back to the virtual switch. Yeah, the private is already there. So yeah, the private is already there. So hopefully I can actually manage to add the private interface as well to on the server. So I'm gonna go and add hardware, as you can see, and then I'm gonna select network adapter. You could select, you could add a hard disk, you could add fiber channel adapter, or whatever. I'm interested in network adapter. Sorry, guys. Then I'm going to choose private that we add on the through virtual switch manager on the Hyper-V. Okay, and then I'm going to hit OK. So the server will have two adapters at this point. One is for NAT to access the internet, and one for the private interface to connect to the client. And then I'm going to power on the server. Okay, can connect, I can start the server, and then I can hit the connect on the server so we can see what will happen during the installation. I'm going to show you a couple of things that we need to go over. So basically, when it asks you, you need to hit any key on the keyboard. Okay. Immediately when you start the server, you should actually go and you need to hit enter. If not, then you could actually reset from here. I mean reset and then reset, and immediately when the computer boots, okay, yeah, and then hit any key to start the installation of the server. So we could actually install Windows 10 simultaneously while the server actually is taking us to the installation window. So actually next, install. You could choose language and a couple of options. Okay, and then the setup is starting, as you can see. So now we'll select just the hard drive, format it, and then the installation will begin. And then I can show you how to install Windows 10, the same process, okay? And yeah, so for lab purposes, we need Windows Server 2019 standard evaluation desktop experience. So this is with desktop. This is basically core version. Okay, so make sure you hit the second. Okay, you hit the Windows Server 2019 standard evaluation with desktop experience. Okay, and hit next. Okay, I'm gonna accept the license agreement and hit next. I'm gonna actually go for install Windows only. Okay, not install Windows, keep files, upgrade. Don't go for upgrade. We want a fresh install of Windows Server, so we need to use custom and then next. So as you can see, the hard disk that we allocated earlier, 16 gig, and the installation will actually start. So I'm gonna go to create a new virtual machine. We could do that simultaneously. So new virtual machine, and then we can go with next. Virtual machine is a client Windows 10. Let's say Windows 10 client, and then let's hit next. Generation 2, next. Yeah, 1000 of RAM, 1024. I mean 1 gig of RAM. That's enough for the client. And then make sure you add the private interface. We don't need to add the default switch to take us to the internet. We are going to use NAT during our lab, so to learn how actually we can use a NAT, so to translate the private IP that the client will get from the DCP to access the internet via the server using NAT. Okay, I'm going to go next. And then I'm going to go with, for example, let's say 2 gig. That's more than enough for the client. And then next. And then install the operating system and select the ISO file that you downloaded before, prior to before creating a virtual machine. And I would put the link below the YouTube video when I upload it on YouTube, and then OK. Right there, and then I'm gonna say next. and finish, and then we have configured everything, including the networking adapter that we're going to use, okay, to communicate with the server. And then I'm going to go to the Windows client. As you can see, it's off. Right click and then start, and immediately when it starts, let's connect. We need to hit enter so we could actually start the installation process of Windows 10. Yeah, I wasn't quick enough, so let me do it again. Let me reset, and then here we go, and hit enter as soon as I see install the operating system from CD or DVD, and then the installation will begin after a while. Let's go to the server installation and see. Yeah, it's still in process, as you can see. So yeah. So yeah, the same steps apply to Windows 10. So you could actually manipulate the language, okay, the language that you want to use. The time and currency, this is depends on you, and then US keyboard. The keyboard also depends on you. You could choose whatever your keyboard you want to use, and then next, and then hit install, and then the installation will take place. Just one thing that I want to mention. So instead, during the installation of Windows 10, instead of selecting when selecting the account, make sure you select use I want to use domain instead of an email or a username or whatever. It will ask you during the process, and I want to just make sure that you select the appropriate account. So because you are going to use domain, okay, and we're going to use Active Directory domain, okay, on the server, and the client will join the domain, okay, so we can actually practice, okay, all the labs regarding the Active Directory services by installing Active Directory, by actually using grow policy, using group management, okay, how to manage users and groups, how to create group policies, how to apply them on the client regarding software deployment, regarding actually restrictions, password policies, and of course user account management. We're going to actually look at the creation of users manually in the beginning, and then we're going to actually go to the advanced mode using PowerShell, creating a script and importing users from a script, because in an enterprise environment you are not going to be dealing with 20 or 10 users, but rather you're going to be dealing with a lot of users. So make sure you understand how to create a script and how to actually get those users from using the script, using a CSV file or comma separated value. So that's it. I don't want to actually make the video so long, so that's it for this video, and I hope this have been informative for you guys, and I would like to thank you for viewing. Make sure you find everything below the video, the links, and where to download Windows 10 and also Windows Server 2019, and other information regarding the script if you are running home, okay, edition of Windows 10. You can actually enable Hyper-V using a script that you will find under the video and the description how to use it. So yeah, again, have a nice time, and I hope this has been informative for you guys, and I would like to thank you for viewing.